When I hear the animal that over 95% of predators fear, I think it's about me. I think it's about bears. I think bears are terrifying, humbly. I think that I can be very terrifying, so I think it's about me. Wow, I open the video and it's instantly not a bear. But I'm sure this is just a creature that fears bears.
Most of you probably know the story of the honey badger, a rather small but fearless aggressive animal that is rarely trifled with by predators, which has allowed it to become widely distributed across the world, being found in Africa, Southwest Asia, and the Indian subcontinent. However, to the west, there is another rather small animal that gives even the honey badger a run for its money.
Why is that bear running away? The bear is running away because it clearly has won the confrontation. Because the badger, the skunk is also running away, so it's not normal.
Mastery department, and actually is even less bothered by predators, with less than 5% of them ever being attacked. And it's so avoided by wildlife that for a long time, scientists actually thought that predators were born to fear them. And what is this mythical creature, you may ask? Well, it's the one and only skunk.
Skunk.
Now, the word skunk encompasses more than just one species, but I am specifically talking about the most successful member, and one of the largest, the striped skunk, which is also the guy people typically default to when imagining a skunk in general.
That's what I literally imagine when I think of skunks. Is it bad that I just want to know what a skunk smells like? Because everyone's always like, oh my god, they're so stinky, they're so smelly, but I can't imagine it. I can't imagine. Sometimes I think my cat is a skunk. Because sometimes his butt smells bad. Animals fear this thing. The smell is vile. Chad, where can I meet a skunk?
General, given their commonness. And they are found...
Yeah, I could eat a skunk for breakfast. You said I would eat a honey badger? I could eat a skunk for breakfast. I'm not scared of them. Where can I meet one?
Virtually all over the United States, as well as parts of Canada and Mexico, numbering in the millions, or perhaps even the tens of millions. And this sizable population is no coincidence, as they have developed a wide range of traits that make them in many ways an unstoppable force that nearly nothing seems to want to mess with. But from looks alone, you probably would not assume this. After all, they aren't exactly huge, with most weighing no more than 10 pounds or 4.5 kilos. Meanwhile,
I feel like this is the one animal that will never get domesticated, because humans don't want to deal with the smell. Nobody would want to adopt such a thing.
Well, despite being stout, having claws and some sharp teeth, they don't exactly put to shame other American predators when it comes to intimidation, being objectively outclassed by bears, cougars, wolves, and even coyotes.
Objectively outclassed. I am scarier. Objectively scarier. Just so you know.
What gives? Well, considering what they're really known for, you probably know the answer already. But how exactly does smell become an animal's ultimate weapon?
They're in every cartoon.
The answer starts with their rear ends. And no, I'm not being crass. That's just where skunks possess not one, but two scent glands that sit on either side of its butt, each being filled to the brim with highly noxious musk that is oily.
Wait. Skunk musk. You can buy it? I don't want to buy it. I really don't want to buy it, but you can. Ferrets are a relative of skunks. They've been domesticated. They still stink if their scent gland hasn't been removed. I'm guessing the people who adopt ferrets as pets don't have the stinky ones, right? That's horrific. I know, right? Oh my god. Skunk versus the mods for head mod battle. You're a fucking genius. That's just the content we need. Wait, you said that's horrific. Where can I buy it? Ha! Probably Amazon, honestly.
Yellow in appearance and is made up of a mixture of powerful thiols, which simply put are chemical compounds characterized by the presence of a sulfhydryl group. Now, that still might not mean much to you, but let's just say it doesn't smell great. And the striped skunk has managed to weaponize it by also developing the ability to launch it directly at threats, thanks to some rather impressive sphincter control. In fact, they don't just spray things in a general sense, but rather in a more deliberate, precise sense, as they also have nipple-like protrusions, allowing them to control the flow rate of their pungent fluids.
I did not need to zoom in on that! I did not need that! Motherfucker! Dear Lord!
And if you do end up getting hit, it's also deadly, figuratively. Maybe sometimes, literally.
Ew.
But regardless though, you definitely still want to really try and avoid getting any of this on you, because it's essentially described as smelling like a combination of garlic, burning sulfur, and sewer gas.
Okay,
so not the best.
Look, you can say like fucking sulfur and the gas, not the best. Garlic is objectively the best scent ever. What do you mean? Garlic smells like heaven. Garlic is heaven. Don't ever say anything about my girl garlic, okay?
However, it's not even the smell per se that has skunks so protected, but instead, the sheer intensity of it. Many people erroneously think skunk spray isn't that bad, as if you live in America, you might get a whiff of it here or there when driving or walking around. But here's the thing most people don't realize, which is that 99.9% of the time, that
Apologies, I just noticed this weird opera GX king was in the window again.
smell you're smelling is actually coming from very, very far away. But because skunk musk is so powerful, we can detect it even farther than a dead decomposing body. Much farther actually, with it being detectable up to 2 miles or 3.2 kilometers away.
Holy, what?
So in other words,
if a skunk farts, well, whatever the fuck you call it when they put their ass juices everywhere. If it farts in the Central Park, you could smell it from the other side of the Central Park?
if you get hit up close, it's a whole different ballgame. And one of the earliest accounts of a skunk does a good job of describing the ordeal, having come from an unlucky researcher in the 1600s, who said, I quote, "It is so stinking and casts so foul an odor that it is unworthy of being called the dog of Pluto. No sewer ever smells so bad, and I would not have believed it if I had not smelled it myself. Your heart almost fails when you approach the animal. So, yeah, bad.
That bad,
and
huh?
honestly, it is so powerful that getting a direct hit is actually a whole lot scarier than your nose just being assaulted. As for starters, you can expect the blast to burn the bejeebers out of your eyes, causing not only pain, but literal temporary blindness.
Oh my
As
God.
like tear gas, it contains lacrimators.
But temporary. It smells very odd, not that bad, but it kind of makes you react like when you smell smelling salts. I've never smelled smelling salts, but they wake you up from when you're unconscious, right? Because they're really strong.
Which will irritate your eyes, to say the least. But as your eyes stream tears of pain, and you try to take a breath to calm yourself, you then suddenly find yourself in some serious respiratory distress. Because
Sam
as it enters
Winchester?
your lungs, it would cause further burning, coughing, sneezing, and even vomiting. And the smell alone is so pungent that it can literally cause diarrhea in people due to the
What?
intensity of disgust.
The
And the real
smell
kicker
alone?
is not only that these symptoms happen, but rather their duration.
Wow.
Remember how I said this stuff is oily? Well, it's also incredibly sticky and extremely hard to
Ew.
remove from surfaces, sometimes staying in an area for up to a month, and meaning that any animal facing a skunk's nuclear fart spray would find their world flipped upside down for a very long time. And though the symptoms are generally just very unpleasant, there is also a sinister side to skunk spray. As if an animal accidentally ingests too much of it, they can find themselves in deep, deep trouble, seeing that the spray not only smells toxic, but is literally toxic.
Okay, fair, but this is not very likely to happen. Like, maybe for an animal, but how likely is it that you meet a skunk and it sprays in your mouth? Not that common, right? Smelling salts are inspired by rabbit's urine? What the fuck? I didn't even know. I thought it was salts. I didn't know they smell like piss. Us, no, but you as a bear? But I'm a domesticated bear. I don't go outside. There's a lot of bad things in the world. Like fucking skunks, dude. Okay, Lava has personally made acquaintance with a skunk before, I feel like.
And to such an extent that it will cause red blood cells to literally die, potentially leading to
Jeez.
anemia. So for anyone with an exotic
Damn.
palate who is considering trying it out, just
Don't. Hi guys. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.
Clearly, it's best to avoid this spray and thus creature altogether, and its neighbors have clearly gotten this message, which is why the skunk has so few predators despite its size. And actually, the degree to which other animals will avoid it is even more extreme than we originally thought. In 2024, a study led by Theodore Stankiewicz, and yes, that's his real name, took coyotes who had either been born in captivity or removed from the wild, and gave them food inside a model the shape and color of a skunk, with the goal of having the coyotes learn that skunk-looking things equals dinner. But after conditioning them like Pavlov's dog,
That's so evil! That is evil! The poor dogs! Well, coyotes, but you know what I mean. They intentionally wanted to get them sprayed by fucking skunks. They're bastards because they mauled your chickens. Rip your chickens, that sucks. What I got out of this is to never toss a skunk salad. Just don't get anywhere close to where a skunk could possibly be, I think.
the researchers added a little stinky surprise by adding skunk spray to all of the models. And let's just say that immediately did the trick, as suddenly over 70% of the coyotes refused to go even near the food, and those that did stopped after the researchers added a bit
Stop
more.
it with the
And the craziest part of all of
man!
this is that researchers used a spray which only had 0.9% skunk juice in it, versus obviously the 100% which occurs when an actual skunk sprays you. So imagine that. The spray at 1% of its usual potency was still disgusting enough to deter 70% of coyotes, who, mind you, were literally conditioned to not fear skunks. And another interesting observation they made during this experiment was that some coyotes failed to even qualify for the test, as off the bat they refused to approach the skunk models, despite never seeing one before. Whereas they were fine.
They just knew there was something evil. They felt it in their bones that those skunks know there's the shape, the size, the form factor. Something about it is evil.
Approaching other animal models, and thus leading to the conclusion that the black and white contrast seen as striped skunks was enough of a deterrent by itself. And this is a classic form of aposematism, which is when an animal advertises through color or some visible features that they are not worth attacking. In other words, it's basically nature's, bud, it's not worth it. So imagine that, a defense so potent that evolution basically tosses camouflage out the window, and decides the best option is to make you stick out like a sore thumb. And yet, it works. And really, the only downside that a skunk has when it comes to defense is one that many projectile weapons know all too well, and that's an ammo issue. Striped skunks only have enough fuel, so you could say, for about 5 to 6 successive sprays, and once they're out for a while, with replenishment taking about 10 days. So in other
10
words,
days?
every shot counts, which is why skunks usually do all they can.
I mean, 2 kilometers of scent, right? They can spray once and everyone in the area will flee, I think. I don't know. They could make decent pets when they have their glands removed. They might. I think lots of animals like that would be an okay pet. I think lots of people also... Aren't lots of people adopting opossums and stuff as well? Possums make decent pets. Your dad used to have one. I think they're cute, and aren't they one of those animals that can't get rabies at all? Like, they're immune to it. So it feels like they're not even, like, as dangerous as, for example, other wild animals.
Avoid having to rely on their secret weapon, employing hisses, foot stamping, and high tail postures that give plenty of warning to daring animals. And in some cases, they're also known to even rely on their bite for defense. So they have options. And even the babies have options too, seeing that striped skunks have developed the amazing ability to unleash liquefied death only 2 weeks after birth.
2 weeks after birth?
Crazy, but to put this into perspective, skunks only open their eyes 3 weeks after birth, meaning that spraying things into oblivion is more second nature to these guys than seeing is. And these adaptations have rewarded them handsomely, as like I mentioned, less than 5% of skunks are ever killed by predators. And what's more, is that this number is largely made up of just one animal, and is really the only creature considered to be a regular threat to striped skunks. And that's the great horned owl. These relatively large
owls
give
a shit.
Eat just about anything they can take down, and this includes striped skunks, to whom they have a very peculiar defense to, and that's a terrible sense of smell, allowing them to not only feast on skunks, but even on the skunk's skunk leg.
They're like, fuck you! Your shitty smell can't do anything to me!
Showing absolutely no care in the world for the repulsive spray. And their terrible sense of smell also seems to add another indirect benefit, being that because they feast on skunks, sometimes their nest will develop the smell of one, and thus creating a sort of natural protection.
Oh my god,
against many
no
other
way.
animals, like wildcats,
The smell is
coyotes,
protecting
and so on.
them?
Yet, at
No.
the end of the day, even these guys don't usually dent skunk numbers that much, and striped skunks are one of the most protected animals when it comes to their population levels. And it's not just their effective defense or striking appearance that has got them to where they are today, with another huge advantage being their adaptability. You see, you can plop skunks about just anywhere and they'll be fine, seeing that they're essentially vacuum cleaners, having diets more diverse than the amount of ice cream flavors at a Ben & Jerry's.
Do they have my favorite Ben & Jerry's flavor here? I don't think so. My favorite is oh no! I think it's Spectacular Speculoos? No, that's cookie. It's something with Speculatius cookie. It's like cinnamon and Speculatius. It's really fucking good.
Insects, meat, plant material, garbage, you name it, they can eat it.
Those are
And their
American
claws
flavors. We have a lot of those as well.
also allow them to dig and sift around for food very effectively, allowing them to become one of the few creatures known to adapt quite well to urban environments. What's more is that raw and rotten things are generally on the menu, seeing that their digestive systems are both extremely fast, meaning bacteria doesn't have time to grow, and highly acidic, killing off pretty much anything else of concern. Oh, and Don't be surprised if you see these guys munching on highly venomous snakes either, because they also happen to be immune to snake venom. Pretty nifty.
Any
And
snake
this immunity
venom?
is extended to stinging bugs, like wasps or bees, through their thick coats, allowing them to become one of the few animals that can regularly eat them.
What the
And just
hell?
as a cherry on top,
They're
their food
so OP. The only enemy is an owl? The hell? The great horned owl? I think the great horned owl. I knew my poor smell was a superpower. Hell yeah, let's go.
finding abilities are further enhanced through the possession of extremely remarkable senses of hearing and smell. A bit ironic considering their weapon of choice. And scientists do actually assert that even they are not immune to the smell, but often don't seem as bothered by it as others, leading
it's
some to
their
reckon
smell.
that over time, they just get used to how bad they smell. Something which can unfortunately happen to people too. Now, with
No.
everything combined, there's no doubt they're kind of OP, but nature did decide to nerf them in at least one department, their sight. As striped skunks are actually as blind as bats, not being able to see any object that is farther than 3 meters or 10 feet away. In the wild, this isn't.
You know what? I would say, oh man, now it's not worth it being a skunk. Dude, I'm blind as a bat in real life. Doesn't matter. I have the same vision. It's fine. They probably have better vision than me. Come on, I'll become a skunk, whatever. The yut horned owl. That's the one. Also, hi, extra. Maddie, stinky like a skunk. Not. Look. You guys already say I have chlamydia. You cannot put skunk smell on me too. That would be too much.
A huge issue, thanks to their other
Though I
senses
think they're awesome.
and natural get away from me signs. But in urban areas, it has made them vulnerable to becoming roadkill, unfortunately. So please do
Aw.
watch out for these little guys on the road, both for their sake and
I
for
think
your
you guys
sake.
did mention that
But
there's
all
a
in
lot
all,
of roadkill
striped
ones.
skunks are quite the package. So maybe we should be a bit thankful that generally skunks are actually fairly nice to people.
Yeah,
And in
just don't
some
scare
states,
them.
It's even legal to own them as a pet. Though
Without
that being
permit.
said, I still wouldn't recommend approaching them in the wild, because besides the smell, they do carry rabies from time to time, and that's one thing you really do not want to get. But there is actually another animal that is not only immune to rabies and the plague, but also has survival adaptations that put even the skunk to shame. And if that sounds interesting, check out the video I made on them. Thanks for watching.
Maddie Skunkuma. Please, why does it actually work as a name? That was a really cool video. I loved it. It was really entertaining, and I learned a lot more about skunks. And you know what? I saw a skunk's asshole squirt out juice not once, but twice in a close-up in slow motion. I feel like life doesn't get crazier than this.